I'm from Pittsburgh, and we have our own dialect here, our own words that we use for certain things that make perfect sense to us, but are foreign language to other people. Like we use yins instead of y'all, or dippy eggs instead of over easy. There's a whole laundry list that I could keep going and tell you about. But here's the thing. When you use words that don't make sense to anyone else, it's not that you come across as not smart or not informed, but you confuse your audience. And so it makes them stop and wonder what the heck you're talking about. When I started web design, there were terms that I used. For example, navigation links. That's what I referred them to because that was the industry standard. But my clients were calling them buttons, tabs, and I had no idea what they were talking about. I think the same thing is happening in AI because we are now in the transition from the coders and experts who have all the lingo down pat and the everyday user who is trying to kind of play catch up. And so today, that's what we're going to talk about. I'm Lee Drozak, and I help entrepreneurs cut through the tech overwhelm so that they can make the tools of AI work for them and not the other way around. So let's get into it. So the first term is large language model, or LLM. In plain English, it just means the brains of AI. It reads a huge amount of text and learned patterns in language. Some examples are what you're familiar with, ChatGPT and Claude and Perplexity. Everything you type into these tools is powered by an LLM. Each model has its own specialty, so picking the right one can make all the difference. Term 2, prompt. In plain English, it just means the instructions or questions you give the AI. For example, write a thank you note or write an email to my client. Why it matters? Because the better the prompt, the better result. A prompt is actually more than write me an email. I mean, you could do that, but you're going to get a half-assed result. You need to give it context and direction to get the best result that you can. Similar to giving clear instructions to anyone. That's the very reason that I am creating the content library workshop, is so that we have documents prepared that allow us to not only create great prompts, but give it good context. Now, the next is agent, an AI agent. In plain English, it's AI that not only answers questions, but it takes some kind of action. So, for example, check my calendar and see if I can squeeze in these 5 meetings. Or better yet, readjust my day so that I can get these 5 tasks done in between these meetings. So what happens is it looks at the connections, like Google Calendar or your email or even a Notion board. It sees the data that you have and it makes decisions based on that data. Another AI agent is vibe coding. We all hear about vibe coding. What is it? You give it a set of instructions and it goes step by step through them to create something that is useful to you. Now, if you've used Zapier or Make, you are already halfway there. You understand the role of an AI agent. Now, let's move on to term 4, which is hallucinations. A hallucination is when AI gives you a convincing but made up answer. A good example is saying the president is Tom Hanks. Now, in the movies, that would be a correct answer because Tom Hanks could have played a role as a president. In real life, not so much. Why does it matter? Hallucinations happen because AI is trained on data, and data comes from everywhere. When you're asking a question about a president or if it would happen to return that Tom Hanks is the president, it doesn't know if you're referring to movies or real life. It's been trained on a lot of different information, and sometimes that information is not quite accurate. So check your work. Term 5, memory. In plain English, it just means it's AI's ability to remember your past chats or your preferences. It's like a coffee barista remembering your favorite order, right? Memories help AI to be more useful over time, more efficient over time, but it also means that you need to be conscious of what it is storing, of interactions that you have had with it that may or may not be relevant. For example, when I started the Digital Navigator, it was the Digital Navigator HQ, and my memories are based on that. But recently, I have pivoted to DigiNav Compass for a lot of reasons, mostly messaging. But in that change, if I didn't remove the memories from the Digital Navigator HQ, I found it referring to that. So I had to go back and scrub a lot of the memories and archives that I had. Now, let me throw in a couple bonus terms. Model. So, a model in plain English is like a software version. So, think of it as like an edition or a software version, a style of an AI brain, like ChatGPT 4 or ChatGPT 5 or Claude 3 or Midjourney 6, 7, etc. Basically, what it does is it is numbered for or named for its strengths. As a new version comes out, it gets a new number, and that is the model. So, why does it matter? Because each version comes with its own set of superpowers, and in some cases, the model is the version upgrade. And other times, it's the standalone application of that particular AI. So you need to understand what the modeling is and what the modeling does. And then finally, you have context window. That is the limit of how much AI can keep in mind during one conversation. In a long chat, earlier parts can fade or the AI can lose track. Knowing this helps you to understand why you might need to rephrase or repeat or even break big conversations into smaller queries. Think about it like this. You're having lunch with your girlfriend and it's a 2-hour lunch and you're telling each other stories. And sometimes you just have to say, remind me about that again, because you're so deep into the details that sometimes you forget some things. So you need to get re-caught up or reoriented with where you are in the conversation. So those are just some simple terms that help you to understand AI, why it matters, because when you know the language and the lingo, it's easier to continue to enhance your skills, or when you are learning to understand what people are talking about when they're using these terms. It's like when you come to Pittsburgh and I ask you if you want dippy eggs, all I'm asking you is if you want them over easy, because words do matter and context does matter. So if this has helped make AI a little less intimidating, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next video where we talk about AI in plain English so that you can use it and utilize it to make your business and thinking better to have partner down the road. And keep an eye out for the Context Library workshop where I show you my exact process on how I created a context library for my AI so that I had the most up-to-date and correct information as I continue to use all of my AIs as my thinking partners or partners in crime. And again, thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe.